So when we're talking about rational exponents, we're kind of taking the simplifying radicals that we did on Tuesday and the exponent rules that we did yesterday, and we're kind of putting them together. So just to review, let's say we had this problem, x to the 4th, x to the 8th under the square root. So on Tuesday, we listed out how many we had. So we had we have 4 x's and we have 8 y's. And then since it's a square root, how many of them do I need in order to pair them up? 2. So we need 2 of a kind. So I've got 2 x's here, 2 x's here. So 2 x's can come out. And then I've got 2 y's, 2 y's, 2 y's, 2 y's. So 4 y's can come out. So then if we multiply them, x times x is x squared. And y times y times y times y is y to the 4th. So we get x squared y to the 4th. We don't have any left over, so our square root is gone. But if you can think about our original problem, square root x to the 4th y to the 8th, and our answer x squared y to the 4th, does anybody see a shortcut on how to get there? Divide it by 2. Okay. So we've got a square root. So if I do 4 divided by 2, I get 2. If I do...
This last interruption, any underclassmen needing makeup pictures that hasn't already been, please report to the theater at this time. This is your last opportunity. Again, any underclassmen needing makeup pictures, please report to the theater at this time. Thank you.
So anyway, you can divide. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, so you get the same answer. Yeah. Yes, so if it was a cube root, you would divide by 3. If it's a 4th root, you divide by 4. Yeah. So changing it to look like this is a rational exponent. So you're changing it from a root to a fraction. Okay. So that's what we're going to do today. So for rational exponents, let's say we have the a root of x to the b power. So a can be any number, b can be any number. So whatever it is. The a root of x to the b power. So when you're changing forms, what happens is the b stays where it is, but the a becomes the denominator. So then it becomes x to the b divided by a. Okay. And so you can also go the other way. So let's say we have x to the c over d. Of course, c and d are numbers. Then you can change that. The c stays where it is, but d becomes the root. So the d root of x to the c power. Okay. So the original exponent, or what's on top, stays where it is. The only thing that's moving is that denominator and that root. Okay. Questions? There's not really a good way to remember it, but I always think like the roots of a tree are under the ground. So the roots in our fraction are under the fraction. I just came up with that on my own, so it's copyrighted, in case y'all are wondering what to use it. So with rational exponents, all of the exponent rules that we did yesterday still apply. If you're multiplying, you still add. If you're dividing, you're still subtracting. If it's power to power, you still multiply. Okay, so all those rules are the same. The only difference is today we're going to have fractions. Okay. So if we look at the first one, I know your 5 is gone. So it should be 5 to the 1/3 power. So you need to write that 5 there. So all we want to do here is we just want to write it in rational form. So the 1 stays where it is, but that 3 becomes the root. So that becomes the cube root of 5 to the 1st power. That's it. So the 1 stays where it is, and that 3 just goes out front. Okay. So 1 stays where it is, 3 becomes the root. So then our next one, 4 is going to stay where he is, and the 7 becomes the root. So the 7th root of m to the 4th. Okay. So our next one, we have 3 to the 2/5. So the first thing we want to do is multiply those. So you can type them in your calculator if you want to. So 3 times, remember to get the fraction, you hit alpha, which is your green button, y equals enter. So 3 times 2/5 is 6/5. So that'll be n to the 6/5. And now the 6 stays where it is, and that 5 moves out front. So the 5th root of n to the 6th power. Okay. So same rule as yesterday, power to a power, multiply, and then you just change it. Now if it doesn't say change it, you don't have to change it, but this one it did. So. Questions? So then if we look at this next one, I have the square root of 79. Well, what number do I associate with the square root? A 2. So if there's nothing out here, there's always a little invisible 2, okay, because it is a square root. Well, what exponent does the 79 have? A 1. Good. So if the root doesn't have a number, it's a 2. If the base doesn't have an exponent, it's a 1. So then this would be 79. The 1 stays where it is, the 2 becomes the denominator. Questions? Alright, so if we look at whatever number this is, 5, we've got a cube root. But if we look inside, all of these things have different exponents, okay? So the 27 just has a 1, the m has a 6, the n has a 4. So that 3 becomes the denominator to all of those, okay? So that'll become 27 to the 1/3 m to the 6/3 and n to the 4/3. Right? So if everything has a different exponent inside, they all need to get that little fraction. Okay? Questions on that? Okay. Alright, so down here at the bottom, we want to evaluate. So when we evaluate, you can do just like what we were doing the other day, and first step is type it in the calculator, and then if you get a decimal, we'll go from there. So we look at the first one, 81 to the 1/4 power. So you type your 81, do your little caret, and then 1/4. And we get 3. That's it. On this one? Yeah. So then our next one, 8 to the 5/3, we go 8 to the 5/3, and we get 32. And that's it. So our next one, we have negative 64 to the alpha y equals enter 2/3, and we get 16. questions? So then our next one, we can type that whole thing in if we want to. So 125 over 216 to the 2/3, and we get 25 over 36. And then 5, again, we're just typing it right on in. So 25 to the 1/2 times negative 64 to the negative 1/3, which gives a decimal. Let's make it a fraction. So to make it a fraction, you hit math, enter, enter. So we get negative 5/4. Okay. So if you just have numbers, just type them in, and that's all you got to do. But they might look like they did yesterday, like 6 and 7. So on number 6, what do I do when I have a base times a base? For multiplying, what do we do with the exponents? Add, yeah. So we just want to add. So 4/7 plus 3/7, which you can do by hand. If you don't remember, that's fine. Type it in. 4/7 plus 3/7, and that gives us 1. So x to the 1st. Okay. What do we do when we have a power to a power? Multiply. Good. So we want to multiply 1/3 times 4/5, and we get 4/15. So u to the 4/15, and that's it. So if you have all numbers, you just type it in, get what you get. If you have bases, you do what we did yesterday, add, subtract, or multiply. And then the same rules apply. You don't want them to be negative, so if they're negative, you put them on the bottom. So all the rules that we did yesterday, just fractions. Okay, and again, to type that fraction in your calculator, alpha, y equals, enter. Questions? Alright, let's try some. So we're in our beautiful green books yet again today.